stories for bedtime
and car time and playtime.
And anytime you want to hear how much Jesus loves you in all this world.
Even little birds.
Hello, I'm Pastor Sarah at St. Paul Lutheran Church in Davenport, Iowa. Welcome to this podcast where we tell stories told just for kids and kids at heart. Every week we tell a story about Jesus from the Bible. For this podcast, you need to bring your imagination. We are going to imagine there was a little bird in all those Bible stories, a little bird who was friends with Jesus. A little bird who saw all the stuff Jesus did and heard all the things Jesus said. Well, hi, podcast friends. It's so good to be with you today. We're going to hear today about one of those teachings of Jesus, one of the important things he taught his friends about how to live and how to love in the world. Jesus taught us so much, and these are some of those lessons. This one's about anger. We all get mad, even little birds. So turn on your listening ears and settle back into your chairs or car seats or walk or wherever you are. And let's listen to episode 19.
Little Bird and Jesus and a lesson on anger.
Little Bird, as you remember, joined up with Jesus and his followers when Jesus began his ministry. When Jesus left home to go and share his good news about God, he left his house and lived a life on the road. Little Bird did the same, and when she did, she left behind her own flock of birds, her siblings and cousins and friends who all lived in various houses and trees around Nazareth. Whenever Jesus would go home, Little Bird would leave Jesus and his flock of humans and spend some time with her flock of birds. They'd catch up on all that happened in their lives and go on some flying adventures. One day, Little Bird was helping one of her cousin sparrows build a new nest. Her cousin was just about to lay some new eggs. She needed to get a new nest built so those little babies would have a nice space to incubate and then grow. Little Bird and a few of her other cousins were flying all over, trying to find the best twigs and grasses to help build this nest. They'd tuck one in here and another one in there, and soon, with all their hard work, her cousin sat down on that nest and snuggled down in it, and with a great big sigh of relief said, "It's perfect. Thank you for all your help." All the sparrows who helped gathered around her were so excited, and they were just about to fly away when all of a sudden they heard a warning call from some other sparrows nearby. "A hawk!" they cried. "Watch out! A hawk!" Little Bird was scared. Hawks were so much bigger than her, with such huge wings and strong talons that could easily snatch up a sparrow and their eggs. She looked up and saw the shadow of that big bird swooping in circles back and forth above her and her family. This hawk had his eyes on them. They all knew they needed to protect their cousin and her eggs in that nest, and so they did what they often did when a predator came by. They worked together to defend their friend. Little Bird looked at the sparrows around her, and with the whole bunch of courage, they flew up all together toward that hawk. With enough of them, they knew they'd be able to scare him away, or at least annoy him away. They flew at his wings and pecked at his chest, and they called, "Go away, hawk! Get out of here!" It was risky, but they knew they could do it. Over and over again, they flew at the hawk's wings and at his head, and soon the hawk got tired of all those little sparrows dive-bombing him, and he flew away. Little Bird and her friends flew back down to the nest, and her cousin thanked them for protecting her. They all gave each other high fives or high wings, and they each made their way home. Little Bird flew back to Mary's house where Jesus was staying. As she flew, she thought about that hawk, and she got more and more angry with every single flap of her wings. How dare that hawk try to get her cousin's egg? He was a great big bully. She hated those hawks. By the time she got to the courtyard and saw Jesus sitting on a bench outside, she was a feathery ball of fury. Little Bird sat down on that bench and landed with a great, loud, angry thump. With her little sparrow feet, she stomped up and down that bench. She didn't know what to do with all that anger inside her. It was too big for her little body. Jesus said to her, "Little Bird, what happened? You look really mad." Little Bird nearly shouted, "I am mad! So mad! A hawk just tried to eat my cousin and her eggs, and I hate hawks. I want to go and peck his eyes out and pull out all of his feathers and destroy him. I am so mad. We saved her, thankfully, but he's the worst. I hate all hawks." Jesus said, "Little Bird, I see that you are so mad. I love that you protected your cousin. It's a really important thing to do, to stand up for your flock, to say no when someone is being treated badly. It takes real courage." Little Bird stomped. I wish I could have done more. I want to go scratch that hawk to pieces with my talons, like this." And Little Bird started to scratch and scratch and scratch that bench with all her might. Whoa, Little Bird," Jesus said. "I can't let you do that to this bench my dad made." He gently scooped her up in his hands. "Little Bird," he said, "I think you're not just angry, but also scared and full of some energy from your big save. Let me just hold you for a minute as you get a little quiet inside." Little Bird took some deep breaths and let Jesus hold her, and she felt the anger not be quite so big in her body anymore. When she calmed down and felt more herself, Jesus said to her, "I know you're upset, Little Bird, and you have every right to be. It's not okay for someone to try to hurt you, but hurting them back is not the answer. Do you remember what I talked about with my followers about anger?" Little Bird thought back to the messages Jesus said, how Jesus talked about when you are angry with someone that you shouldn't call them names, and that if you can, to talk about your disagreements so you can work them out together. So Little Bird said to Jesus, "Jesus, I tried to do that with my friends and my family. I even did that today when my other cousin took the twig I was going to use for the nest. We were yanking it back and forth and back and forth. And finally I stopped and said, 'It's okay, Brown Bird, I'll share. You can have it.' Or another time when Hugo, my big cousin, teased me for being so teeny tiny, I told him to stop. I told him how it made me feel. And then he apologized, and I forgave him." Jesus smiled. "Little Bird, that's great. It's really hard to forgive someone. How do you feel about that big cousin now?" Little Bird thought about it. She said, "I'm not angry at all. I forgave Hugo and let go of thinking about it and letting it be such a big deal for me. We're good buddies again. It's kind of a relief not to carry around all that madness with me." But then Little Bird thought a minute and said, "But Jesus, that hawk is different. He's my enemy. He's never going to apologize to me or do anything but try to attack me." Jesus thought about this for a minute. It's true, little bird. You can't change a hawk, but you can change yourself. Just like I said to the humans, it's true for you. Love your enemies. Pray for those who are mean to you. If someone hurts you, don't hurt them back. Little bird furrowed her brow. What? She said. I should pray for that hawk? Love those meanie hawks? Well, yes, Jesus said. I don't think you and that hawk will ever be best friends, and it's probably best you stay away from them when they're nearby. But maybe, in time, you can try to wish the best for him. Hope that he has a happy life, that God will turn his heart to love too. Little bird sighed. I'm not sure I'll be able to do that, Jesus, but I'll try. And with your help, maybe I can. It's hard, though. Jesus nodded. It's really hard. But you can start with not trying to peck his eyes out. The little bird smiled and laughed. Or scratch him to little pieces. Yeah, that's true. I don't have to hurt someone just because they tried to hurt me, or be super mean because someone was mean to me. I can protect my friends without hurting another one of God's creatures. Jesus smiled. Little bird, if some of the humans I know had a heart as big as yours, this world would be so different. Little bird smiled. I'm learning it all from you, she said. You know what, Jesus? My heart feels a lot better not holding all that hate and meanness in it. All that hate wasn't even really hurting that hawk. It was just hurting me. I like feeling love and kindness in my heart a whole lot more than all that anger. Jesus held little bird really close to his heart. You've got it, little bird. Love is really hard sometimes, but it's the only way to live with joy. Happy day to you, podcast friends. This story is one in my imagination. That message Jesus taught in the story about loving our enemies and forgiving those who hurt us and not hurting the ones who hurt us, those words are from the Bible, but the rest of it is just from my imagination. Maybe you can come up with your own stories or scenarios about when someone does something mean or bullies someone, or does something that hurts another person. How would you respond? What would you say? How could you say things like, no, that's not okay, without hurting them or being mean and hurtful back? Maybe you can practice with your stuffies or friends or toys. Maybe you can practice saying, I'm sorry, or I forgive you. We all get angry sometimes. It's okay to be angry or mad. Lots of the times, those feelings teach us something. They show us that something happened that we don't want or that hurt us somehow. It's always okay to be mad, but it's not okay to hurt other people or other things. It's what we do with the anger that matters. Sometimes talking about being mad helps. Sometimes just letting someone hold your hand or hug you or just be with you helps. Sometimes coloring or building stuff helps. Sometimes going outside and running and moving your body helps. I like to go for walks when I'm mad. And don't tell, but sometimes I even stomp my feet to stomp some of that anger out of my body. The key is to feel those feelings because, like Little Bird found out in our story, it's good for our hearts to not let that anger stay with us and to be people who love, even our enemies. Have a great week, and thanks for listening to Little Bird and Jesus.
Now flap your little wings. Sing a little song.
And remember that to Jesus,
You will always belong.
Thanks for listening to Little Bird and Jesus, a podcast of St. Paul Lutheran Church in Davenport, Iowa. For more information on St. Paul, visit us at stpaulqc.org.